How's everyone doing? Happy Thursday. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Quite a classical model today. A couple of very challenging poses and a few that should be okay. So a little bit of something for everyone, hopefully. Good morning, Tina. Yes, the Monday sessions, still missing them. You know, it's funny you should say that because I already feel like I'm getting behind on things that I want to draw with you guys because we've gone to once a week. The problem is, it's committing to twice a week, every week. But I think there's going to be some bonus episodes coming up where we hit a few of those Monday sessions, maybe every other Monday, something like that. So we can cover some other stuff because I miss them. I don't miss the commitment to them, if you know what I mean. So anyway, let's see. But be careful what you wish for, Tina. Okay, let's get cracking. Do me a favor, let me know if sound is good and all of that. Oh, Mike has a bit of a static issue. Let me know if it gets worse or better, or if it's tolerable, if you would. That's weird. Okay. Okay, let's get cracking. You know the drill. I think I'm gonna go for like a 15. Plus there's a super annoying fly flying around this room. I'm sure it just made its way onto camera there. We may just have to live with it. I don't think I can eject it at this point. Okay. Nice. Wow, there you go. You saw Leonis. You gave him my regards. Thank you so much. Okay, timer. Shoot, sorry. Yeah, let's aim for the huge. Oh, wrong button. There we go. You know, 15-minute-ish. That's so nice to hear that you saw him, Jaeger. Leonis was one of my teachers back in the day, one of my music teachers. I guess in the tradition of learning and that, you could say he still is one of my teachers, although I haven't studied with him in many years, but very fond of him. Wonderful human and ridiculously talented musician. Anyhow, okay, so let's... Navel's going to be about there. What I like about this model, like she's certainly, there is in no reality could you say that she is anywhere near approaching overweight, but she's got a little bit more weight on her than those super lean models that we've been drawing so much of lately. She has that classical kind of proportion, if that makes sense. It's one of the reasons I picked her. The commitment, it is a lot of work, Tina. Look, it's work, honestly, that I enjoy doing. It's as much, though, it's a mix between it's a lot of work, which I can deal with a lot of work. It's also about burnout. And when I feel I'm getting burnt out, sometimes I need to step back a little. And then when I'm feeling like, okay, this is not so bad, you know, we can push a little bit further. So yeah, I like the idea of doing some Mondays that I would probably announce much closer to the time. That way, if I have to shift gears, it's not so much of an issue, you know. Although it doesn't help you folks plan, I do realize that, and so, but if you consider them bonuses, then maybe it's not so bad. Right, let's just find roughly where our arms are coming across the form here. Head of the humerus. This elbow's about here. And then obviously manubrium is there, which we can't see. It's hiding behind this arm. Excuse me. It's hiding behind this arm, but we can see the sternocleidomastoid coming from there. And we really want to get that to help bring that rhythm for the head sitting in there. Laurie has a question. Have you ever considered drawing portraits live like this? I mean, teaching portrait drawing like this. You know, Laurie, I just simply don't consider myself enough of a portraitist to do that, to be honest. It's not my area of specialty. It's not that I'm completely ruling it out forever and ever or anything, just not something that, you know, I'm a figure guy, let's just put it that way. Maybe at some point. We did do a head session not too long ago, although it was mainly working from you know, like busts, that type of thing. New reference provider, asks Doug. Yes, Doug, absolutely. This is a company called Obscura 29, also operating off Gumroad. They got in touch with me through their connection to Graphit Studio, and here's the thing, I think that they're probably operating out of the same location, but they have some different models, and you know, why not mix it up a little, huh? So yeah, for the month of August we'll be using their reference packs, and you'll find links and all of that in the description of the video. Although when I say links, you will find a link that I can't put the .com on the end of, because unfortunately these companies, they have nudity on their landing pages, and you know what happens to me when I link to those, and I am literally 6 days away from having a 6-month flag on my YouTube channel for having a link to reference from before. So I'm not going out of my way to, you know, get myself another strike. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, there's a good discount on these reference packs. And there looks like there's some nice ones. All right. So that's always a little bit of a challenge when you have arms that are crossing over like this. You know, design and real estate can get full pretty quickly. You have to be quite space aware, if you know what I mean. Not that I've necessarily done a fantastic job in that regard here, but hopefully it will be okay. I set myself a challenge at the beginning of the year to only eat bread that I baked myself. No, that's not including, I shouldn't, maybe that's an unfair statement. Loaved bread. I still buy wraps and croissants and stuff like that. But I've been making all my own bread, and today I had to, because I had to get a good late start on it, I literally had to time the rising of my bread, both rises, so that the bake would finish like literally 1 minute before the stream started. And I pulled it off. I thought, okay, I'm starting to getting to know the dough, the yeast, what it needs. Although it's crazy how much even a warm day can change the rising times of things. But yeah, so there'll be fresh bread at the end of the stream. Should be nice. David, I don't know if you're an actual member of the channel, but you will find in the community, if you're a member, you'll find a link to August and September reference page in the community chat tab of my channel page, or in the See Perks page, or tab, apparently. If you're not a member, then you won't see it. That's a really good reason to become a member. Let's follow the lighting convention on the reference. Why not? Nice core shadow running down the form. Yes, it is a treat, isn't it, Lulu? The bread baking, for sure. Yes, you know, it's funny you should say yeast is a living thing, so you're technically growing your own bread to a degree. You know what's interesting about that is once you've worked with yeast for a while and baked bread for a while, you realize that you're really just essentially making a yeast balloon. And you just, and the rising, it does like, and the timing on the rising has to be just right. The amount of rising it does on its own versus in the heat. And it's a very interesting, you know, little thing. All right, we're at 14.5, so I think we're gonna be good for our 15-minute. We're on track. All right, there's our warm-up. Cool. Richard, will we be seeing it on the Great British Baking Show anytime soon? You know, I could see how people go down the rabbit hole of the art and science of baking. And if I didn't have so many other things going on in my life, I could certainly see myself, yeah, okay, I'm going to spend the next 6 months, you know, perfecting glazing or whatever it might be. I just don't have the time for another hobby, and you've got to be all in, you know, to be on that show, especially if you want to get past the first week. There's some excellent tutorials on how to make proper Neapolitana pizza on YouTube. If you get yourself a pizza oven, well, the pizza oven. Yeah, I make my own pizza. I have made my own dough. Pizza oven. This has been an ongoing discussion with my wife. The commitment to a pizza oven. I think once we move into our own place and we're settled, I could see us buying a pizza oven. Right now, we're trying to avoid, you know, acquiring more things until we're moved, especially something like that. I'd like to build a brick one outdoors. I think that would be really cool. Alrighty, next pose. Another. I think we can probably go about the same time again. That felt good. You know us. We'll inevitably go over on a pose. Oh, this fly is driving me to distraction. It's not helping that they seem to love the lights. Let's find our center line. So she's, for those who don't have the reference, she's kneeling. Something like this. So yeah, center line's about here. As you guys know, one of the first things I like to find in situations like this is the navel. And I'm going to exaggerate the topography just ever so slightly there of what's going on with the tummy. It just really helps me kind of visualize what's happening volumetrically. Clavicle, clavicle. Something like that. We'll come back to that. Okay, so pectoral sitting here. Into the volume of the breast sitting on the form like so. Approximately. This one we can't really see. Arm and her band of hair coming down are in the way. But we know it to be about here. Coming down, oblique sitting in there, sitting in that area. Very little information going on, you know, as far as, you know, there's lots of large blank areas in here. We're going to add a little bit of anatomy, like the tensor fasciae latae, gluteus medius, kind of the separation of these forms, just because once again, it's kind of like when we draw things on the back, it helps describe form. And just makes things a little bit more interesting, potentially. Iliotibial tract coming down this way. Iliac crest right here, or the acis, sorry, and the iliac crest, and then the acis right about here, coming round to the acis around here. Something like that. Excuse me. Yeah, yes to the pizza oven statement, really. Not cheap at all. Well, you know, here's the thing. We've looked it up. It's like so many things, you know, the price points vary pretty significantly depending on scale and number of different factors, but they could be, you know, like, well, I really like the idea of actually building it at least a good part of it myself if we're going to do a brick one. I would of course have to learn how to lay bricks, but that is also a skill that I think would be really fascinating to learn. There. Head's too big. Got this big swath of hair. It's really cool, sweeping in this way. All right, I think it might be time to do a little bit of tie down here, push and pull, get things cracking. Art restoration, now that would be also a very interesting discipline to learn, wouldn't it? Did you find a new place? No, we are in the exploratory phase. The tricky part is where we think we want to live. It's about a 3.5 hour drive away. So we're doing like these little overnighters. We're not quite ready to pull the trigger. And ultimately, what's on the market at the time is going to also dictate some of that. But we are definitely, you know, in the process, so to speak. Bread making's a rabbit hole. One day you're doing a simple brioche, and the next you find yourself playing the role of alchemist cultivating yeast. Yeah, you know, the thing, the whole family want me to do sourdough next, and we have the starter, so that's coming up. SG asks, is it hard to stabilize yourself financially as an artist, especially at the beginning? Because I am a student and I am planning to join art school after completing my degree in an unrelated field. SG, that is a very tricky question to answer. Stabilize yourself. Yeah, it can be. It certainly can be. It also, though, I think it depends to some degree on what it is that you plan, what type of art you plan on creating. If you're planning on being a commercial artist, you know, like let's say you're a concept artist at a game studio or something, once you get established, you know, you can make a comfortable career, a comfortable living. You know, if you're in the top 10%, you can make a very good living. It's also incredibly precarious, as far as it's an industry that, you know, like the game industry, the animation industry, the film industry, they're all very much at the whim of the market, and, you know, writers' strikes, even stuff like that. Like the animation industry is still reeling from the writers' strike that happened. And I hear, I'm not working in animation right now, although that's where my career has been for most of my life. But I'm hearing that things are not great in that field. So there's just a lot of variables, you know. As a fine artist, I think you're going to find it's tricky as well. It can be even harder, frankly. I'll tell you, something that's kind of interesting is when I was working at the top animation studios like DreamWorks, for example, there was not a lot, but there was several kind of people that could easily be gallery artists that didn't want to deal with the gallery system and all that came with it, and that's why they worked in animation. It was, you know, relatively steady work, and they could make a somewhat predictable living. But yeah, like as I said, I've heard people say that right now it's hurting. You know, I would say if you're going to do it, maybe give it a go before you start a family. Just an idea, or before you have a lot of financial commitments. Or if you are in that situation, just make sure you're in a position for things to be lean for a while. I know people that have made incredibly good money working in the film industry, and I also know people that have struggled working in the film industry and very much, you know, work job to job and it not being a comfortable, you know, kind of secure living, so to speak. But you'll get to work on some amazing projects, and that's fun. You're welcome in Bulgaria. I spot British folk in the local Lidl all the time. That's interesting. Yeah, I would imagine that you guys have expats there, right? Like, we have debated quite extensively about when we make this move, do we move to mainland Europe? The problem is, since Brexit, yeah, things got a little bit ruined in that regard. My wife is an Irish citizen, so she has the papers. I, unfortunately, do not any longer have the ability to work in Europe without visas and all that kind of nonsense. From what I hear, as a programmer, you count things as being stable. You'll reliably be working overtime with constant sleep deprivation. You'll be behind schedule and have no control over anything. You know, Lulu, actually, you bring up a very good point, which is the thing that people don't count on necessarily also with going into, you know, working in games or the film industry or the likes, is the hours. They tend to be pretty brutal. Like, you know, 50, 60-hour weeks are quite common. Like, I remember, like, you know, you could be working like, yeah, no, the hours can be crazy and very unsociable when trying to have a family or have anything resembling a normal life. I really think, especially working in the film and the game industry, it is to not exclusively, but it's very much a young person's game. But if you don't mind long hours, oh, we're at 18 minutes already. Yikes. Okay. Let's just hit this with a tiny bit of shadow and we'll move on. Because I think the next pose is really going to be, it's going to be a challenge. But if you move to the EU on your wife's citizenship, you could work there as a spouse. I'm not 100% sure that that's the case, Jaeger. You might be right, but I think it would require me to get Irish citizenship first. And I can't get that without living in Ireland. I can't get EU citizenship through being married to my wife without living in the EU. Because I know other people that have had this issue. I don't think it's as cut and dried as that. But you may have better intel than me. Meh. Lame drawing. Long hours weigh you down. Yeah. And also, if you're a freelancer, that wears you down too. Not knowing, you know, 1 year to the next, whether, you know, what the work is going to be like or how much work there's going to be. It's different in Italy. I don't know if it... Diego, look, as I said, you could be right, but we talked about living in Italy, and that was the same issue. But then we didn't look at it super earnestly. It would be the same in Italy as it would in Spain, as it would in France, anywhere in the EU. The rules don't change. You could either do it or you couldn't as a British citizen. And from what I understand, word on the grapevine is that you can't do it. There was even people that were living retired in Spain, British people, that when Brexit came around, they basically had to leave. Some weird, I don't know, some tricky things going on. Can you break down the arms here? Asks T2. You mean on this pose that we just did, or the next one? Let me know, T2. Just to look at the pose that we just did really quickly, with the elbow, etc. Look, let's just have a really quick diagnostic of what we just drew, assuming that's what you're talking about. Just coming back, let's just very quickly. All right, that'll do us for there. Clavicle coming up this way, right? On this side, up to here. I know you asked about the elbow, but everything's related. Obviously, this arm is coming this way. Our elbow on this one is sitting here. We can be thinking about this as a tapered cylinder all the way through from the top here, all the way through to here, right? Then we can build up this tapered cylinder sitting up here, obviously coming up to the wrist and then to the hand sitting here. Then we've got the cylinder of the upper arm coming here, and then the deltoid shoulder sitting in here, and the tricep coming down this way and coming down to that elbow section right there. So we've got a cylinder that's basically, for all intents and purposes, going away from us there and kind of coming towards us there, right? Just very slightly. And on this side, head of the humerus, coming once again to kind of a tapered cylinder here. Tricep hanging like a hammock, sitting from there. Deltoid, bicep, and once again we end up with this type of idea, right? So I don't know if that answers your question, unless you've got something. I can't find the shapes. Think about this. The way to think about it is to think about this as a single idea. And then to think about this kind of as a single idea. Right? Bicep, tricep. Same on this side. This is where we've got to try and think volumetrically and build from the inside out, right? We're not just copying a series of shapes. We need to understand, that's why I started off, even though we're not drawing it, I started off with the relationship between this upper and this lower torso, because finding this manubrium is key. Because the manubrium, in many ways, you could make an argument, is the start of this journey for the shoulder girdle. The head of the humerus is going to be sitting in here, right? The clavicle, then the head of the humerus. Humerus coming down this way, down to the elbow system, and then the tibia and the fibula coming up in this direction. We need to understand what's happening structurally and then how these volumes sit over the top if we want to really be able to start to understand shape and that, if that makes sense. Fair enough, Lulu. And remember, as far as shapes, let's just keep in mind the idea of straights against curves. So I talk about this tricep acting like a hammock sitting in here, but look at the way the bicep is sitting almost kind of like this. So we've got the straight, very much a straight for the bicep, sitting against the curve and the hammock-like structure of the tricep. Say, to some degree even here, especially more so even on the reference, look how straight this part of the forearm is. And then we've got curvature and we've got dynamics on this side, which are going to help continue that kind of idea of straights against curves. Even here, the hang of the hammock versus the bicep and the deltoid sitting in there, right? Be mindful, so when you talk about shapes, what we're really talking about is a bigger discussion about shape language and the idea of straights against curves and shape dynamics and design language. Okay, next pose now. All right. Can we have more of that per image? I can't always find the anchor points, more the actual structure in these. Her arms are definitely challenging. Yeah, let's talk through this next pose, because this next pose is an absolute beast. So it's probably a really good one to just kind of make an analysis of as we go. And hopefully I can, provide something that helps. Give me a second. Straighten up my board. Okay. So this is a sprawling, dynamic, challenging pose. It may not be quite the foreshortening we were talking about, Lulu, with this arm, but it's certainly going to present its own challenges. So we'll get into it. Should be a bit of fun. I'm going to take it slow with this pose. We're probably going to end up chewing into about 30 minutes, I would imagine. Especially if, I'm going to be talking a lot. We've got not only a very complex pose, but then the camera is really low on the horizon line, right? We're pretty much at her feet. So all of these dynamics are happening in space kind of upwards, if that makes sense. So we'll try and accommodate for all of that. This directive covers, I'm just reading what you're saying, Yoga, this spouses, civil partners, etc. I think they have to be EU citizens as well, though. Maybe you're right. Look, I'd have to, yeah, let's draw. I hear you. In this, can we section the legs too? Gosh, T2, you're asking a lot, aren't you? I'm kidding. Yeah, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. Okay. There's our timer. So we do have some long rhythmical lines. Once again, there's so many different challenges with a drawing like this. One purely being, let's try and get everything on the page. So I'm just going to find the very, very large ideas of where direction is and that type of thing. Center line's about here, running down this way. Rib cage is sitting in here. Hips, pelvis sitting in here. Iliac crest coming around the aces. Iliac crest on this side, coming down this way. Once again, we will be pushing and pulling a lot as we go. Arch of the rib cage. Okay, so we're thinking of as a volumetric shape, right? If we actually think about this, you could think about this, obviously, this rib cage as an egg-like shape in its simplest terms. We could also be thinking about it somewhat in a box-like structure, in as much as if this box had an edge, we've got the front plane here, and then there's kind of a turn of form here, right? The arch of our rib cage is about here. So I'm thinking in terms of like two different types of things there, right? I'm thinking like a box and an egg, and kind of like a hybrid of the two, or the two working together to get me where I need to go. But same rules apply as we always do, right? Arch of the rib cage, come up the sternum to the manubrium. Manubrium's about here. What do we draw off the manubrium? The clavicle. Clavicle's coming out this way. We can't see it because there's obviously a lot of anatomical business on top. But we know the head of the humerus has to be sitting under the tip of the clavicle here, right? And this arm is coming down this way. And I'm just going to use, where's my elbow? Very loosely, probably in line with about where the glutes would be here. It's all ballpark, right? We're just trying to get things, some general ideas. This arm is coming towards us. The upper arm is coming towards us, then the forearm is coming towards us even more. I want to get just a very light direction line on that to give me a sense of the volume, the direction that the volume is moving in. This one even more so, it's about here. Once again, let's just get in something really, really loose. Pectoral. Okay, so we know the clavicle's coming up this way. We've got the pectoral muscle, which is obviously attached to the humerus here, right? So that's coming this way, coming across the form here. And we'll actually, if we could see it, the pectoral sitting just above the 5th and the 6th rib, just above the arch of the rib cage, right? That pectoral's probably sitting roughly in there. So there's logic to the way that we're building the structure. Now, as it turns out, we have the volume of the breast sitting in here. Something like that. I'm just going to leave it there for now. tricep. Coming down this way. Something like that. Now, let's find this box that she's lying on, because it's really going to inform a lot of what we draw. Okay, so where's the corner of this box? It's sitting about here, right? Right about there. And that's going up in this direction. Then the box is going away from us in this direction, and we've got the line, the edge of this leading edge of the box sitting here, right? Coming down this way, the box continues its journey over here, approximately there. Once again, we are roughly at the horizon line, right at the where this box meets the floor, and then it kind of goes away from us ever so slightly. So if if you continued this idea, you'd get a vanishing point off in that direction, right, from these two lines. Same thing on this side, it's coming down. It's sitting something like that. From the manubrium. Once again, the neck coming down this way. And she's resting her head actually on this box, sitting probably somewhere about here. Something like that. That'll do us for now. From the manubrium, you can see the mass of this breast sitting up here, coming off the rib cage. Sitting in this region here. Center line coming down. Navel, we know navel is going to be halfway between the bottom of the rib cage and the top of the iliac crest, so it's going to be sitting about here, right? Once again, we're just ballparking right now with as little commitment as possible. So coming off here, this can't be comfortable. We've got the volume of this leg kind of sitting in here. This leg is going away from us. And we're just, once again, just very loosely. That leg is about there, going up, then it goes even more away from us in this direction. What's the generally, once again, just looking for little ideas of measurement. What does this negative space in here look like? It can just help us course correct. Makes me think this needs to probably come down, because I think this is probably a little bit more like that. Calf sitting in here, ankle, etc. That'll do for now. This leg. Now this leg's kind of coming towards us, right? It's more doing this. So we're coming off, once again, iliac crest is here, right? We know that. Iliac crest is coming this way, oblique is sitting in here, all of that good stuff. And then we're coming down this way. And then the volume of this leg, and it's quite a bit foreshortened. And actually this knee sits about here. And then goes this way. Something like that. Okay, so very roughly blocking in, right? Like, still a lot of room for massaging and pushing and pulling, but so much, at least for me, so much of this process is about just it's kind of just problem solving. It's like, solve the problems that are easier to solve, and then think large, and then subdivide and subdivide and subdivide, and hopefully, things will work out. Okay, so I'm just like looking at global measurements against each other. I think we're pretty good. I think maybe this wrist is about here. Hand is sitting here. And then we've got fingers that are kind of sitting here. Head feels a bit big considering the camera angle. Look, you could very well be right, but we're not even too concerned about that. This is very much about a rough placement at this point. But yeah, we probably will end up tweaking it. I would also say though, and I'm not sure, Lecat, if you're actually, well, hold on. Not sure if you're a member of the channel, but you really need to see the reference. It helps. Just having a look. You are a member. Well, are you looking at the reference? Yes, I'd like, can make things a bit smaller, but I think that we're okay. And also, let's keep in mind, we're working through a process here. We're not trying to make a Xerox copy, all right? It's important to remember. Okay. I am for a year plus. Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right, let's keep going. So I think I want to start tying down is maybe a little bit premature, but I also feel like I'm just going to find clarity with things once I do start to tie down. I'm fairly satisfied with the overall relationships between this and this, right? So I think I'm going to start working into this just a little bit. Trying to be mindful of straights against curves where possible. There's some. Okay, for those of you who are working with the reference, when you look at, for example, a passage from the armpit here, coming down to the wrist, look how incredibly straight this section is through here. Now there is some very, very subtle deviations from that, which I find are really quite useful to, you could say, exaggerate just ever so slightly. Not sternocleidomastoid, brachioradialis. And then coming down to the thumb. The deltoid is starting its journey about here. Look at, this is beautiful. Not that I will probably do it any favors, but look at the overall shape through here of the deltoid working off the pectoral, and just beautiful ideas. That'll do us for now. Okay. So coming from here, we've got like this transition from the breast, coming to the meeting with the pectoral. Sitting in there, once again, manubrium. Sitting in there. And we've got the neck sitting there. Chin is about there. Something like that. All right. Why does the music? You see, I am not impressed with this new music service. Because they're constantly pausing or stopping between tracks. I don't get it. Okay. We've got this little transition here where the oblique is sitting kind of in this transitional area right here, right? Because it's the rib cage, even though we can't see it here, we can see there, you know, the rib cage is kind of relatively a solid structure. The pelvis is a solid structure. So the section between where the oblique is, it's almost like that's the kind of like the accordion part of the thing, right? Something like that. So that's why the oblique is sitting on this area, and it's possible for the hips to be hanging down here and the rib cage to be sitting on top of this form. Once again, because we're drawing volumetrically, we drew that mass in, right, which is behind the box. But you can imagine that with these things going back in space, like if this was glass, this volume sitting on top of this plane here, right? Something like that. Okay. Little bit of rib, and then coming in, the breast sitting there. And once again, I think, you know, a bit of when we get into the core shadow and that's going to also help describe form. Sorry guys, I'm just going to... I'm just trying to do something with the music. Okay. So let's just come down the form. We established where this stuff is. Once again, iliac crest coming down to the aces, coming around the form, iliac crest coming up this way. We know that the oblique is going to be sitting on top of that. So we got this kind of very subtle transition sitting in there before we go up this way. We've also got what will be the volume of the tummy coming through there. Then this leg, yeah, fairly comfortable with where this is. So actually the knee is lower. Knee is sitting about here, which helps rather than here. Helps get our volume back in place. Inner thigh, that fat pad, then coming down then to the knee that's sitting in here. Wow. No. Okay. Sitting in there. Calf coming down to the ankle, which kind of, the ankle is what's resting on the floor. It's actually like if you actually look at that leg, that foot, her left foot, which is furthest away from us, like it looks broken, right? It doesn't look normal at all. And it is one of those kind of things, and just in the interest of just keeping things moving, I'm going to follow the reference. But it is one of those kind of cases where when you actually are faithful to what's in the reference, you can just end up hurting your drawing because of it's really difficult, especially in a relatively quick pose like this, to get any level of actually what's happening. So we have the kind of the Achilles tendon, then coming into the calf, something like that. By the way, I know that we don't have many people on Twitch. which is what it is. That's not why I'm mentioning it. The reason I'm mentioning it is if you happen to be watching on Twitch and I happen to disappear, it's because after the last stream I got another warning from Twitch saying that what I was doing was sexual in nature. The drawing was sexual in nature, and that I hadn't labeled the stream correctly, even though I thought I had. So anyway, if I get kicked off Twitch, you'll know why. And if I get kicked off Twitch, I'm not fighting it. I'm just going to stick with YouTube. I'm like, given that the audience on Twitch is almost non-existent, it's not going to take much for me to just say to hell with it. Just giving you 3 Twitch users a heads up. Okay, so tibia, you can kind of get a sense. The tibia's coming down this way. The calf is obviously sitting in here. Yeah, complex pose. Okay, navel. So Twitch changed their terms of service again. Yeah, probably. Okay, let's, so here's the thing with the lighting. It's just very, 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 very subtle. I'm going to start putting in some core shadows, but I might punch the angles of things a little bit. I should probably just block in a little bit of her hair here. Something like that. Okay. So we've got the turner form of the pectoral here, then that transitions into the turner form of the breast. And then we've got cast shadow coming down here, transitioning into the very, very subtle half tone of the ribs. And then we've got like light, and then in here we've got shadow. Okay. interesting the way the light kind of fades off here into tone. So hopefully there's a way that we can do that and have a bit of fun with it. Let's see. Maybe something like that. Pocket of light in here. And this is all in shadow. Her right hand that looks like it's growing out the side of her face, I'm leaving off purely because it will, if I draw it, it will just look like something growing out of the side of her face. So now, very, very subtle on the reference, but I am putting in this turn of form that I know to be there. Could say I'm exaggerating it slightly, of this turn going from light into shadow, but I'm hoping it will help describe form. There's a lot going on with this drawing, Doug. You are right. Yeah. Super unnecessary, but I am actually just going to just throw in a tiny bit of this detail on the box. Just because it's such a huge space. It feels like it just, it kind of, you know, help make it a little bit more interesting. And then there's a cast shadow actually coming off her arm. Look at the shape of the cast shadow, really almost kind of like just straight down. But we're going to try and suggest it's something like that. No, cello suite. A beautiful song, ruined by overexposure. I'm going to throw this side of this box into tone. Once again, just trying to break up these really large spaces. 34 minutes on this one. Yikes. I had a feeling this would happen. I've got a few more minutes yet too. Yeah, look at the way that this rib cage kind of turns here. But this is in tone. That kind of follows into that side too, which is interesting. Okay, just take a second here, and then we're going to just go in and blend and push and pull for a few minutes. Thank you, Margot. Appreciate it. Thank you, Lulu. Take care, Lulu. Good luck. See you soon. You have a great weekend too, my friend. Okay. Yeah, we've got another pose in this set, which was due, which we were meant to do today, which I think is the next pose. I'll have a look in a minute. I think we're probably going to either do a much more abbreviated version of it, like a faster pose, or we're going to skip it. Let's finish this drawing first. Because I don't think I have the mental bandwidth to do another one of these to this kind of, you know. No, Pixar music. Thank you. Let's take stock for a second. See what else needs to be looked at. Yeah, we do. This is the thing, Lacat. You're right. We only have really one area of what we would say is core shadow on the breast, as you said, and just below that we have actually a lovely band. I haven't drawn it in yet, but we have a lovely band, or probably won't, of reflected light just below the core shadow, right where the volume of the breast kind of reveals itself as a reflected light. Light probably bouncing off this surface, the surface of this box here, and just illuminating under here, and then darker again in this region. So, you know, you could so easily level up now and say, okay, I've established everything that's roughly in light, roughly in shadow. Now I'm going to find darker darks and lighter lights, and do another pass, right? Bringing another level of subtlety. You'll also notice, as I was saying, during the process, I've exaggerated the transition from here into here. It's more subtle, I believe, in the reference. But once again, and here too, this is a very, very soft turn on the reference. I've kind of given myself a core shadow here, kind of looked for opportunities for core shadow, just to help really subdivide some of these shapes and hopefully bring a little bit of visual interest. That's the idea anyway. Now I can go in, just pull out a few highlights. Hopefully that will help just maybe also take care of some of the lights and darks. Okay, so little areas like here, for example, I think we can afford to pull out. So a little area like this, for example, like we got the bicep coming up here, and we know that the deltoid is wrapping around here, so I might just look at it as an opportunity to very, very subtly pull out some lights in the bicep there. It's very, very subtle. Like honestly, like, you know, if we were just, you know, if I wasn't streaming, I could spend another 25 minutes easy on this next stage. I'm not going to, in the interest of keeping things moving, but, you know, this process can be quite time consuming too. Where are we at? 43 minutes. I think it's enough. Yeah, you know what? Not 100% satisfied, but I think it's fine. All right. Crazy. Okay, let's look at the next pose. Okay, so the next one's fine. We will definitely draw this next one. Where are we at? We got just 20 minutes or so, just over. We got 3 poses. It's this second one that I'm a little bit hesitant with out of the last 3. So we might do number 4, which is the next pose, and then jump to number 6. Although, look at the hyperextension on that left arm on number 5. Tell you, women are far more double jointed than men. It's official. All right. Let's do the next pose. Lots of progress with your descriptions. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. Glad to help, T2. All right, let me find a pencil. Let's plan on a much shorter pose for this one. Probably, you know, probably we'll get back into the 10-15 minute range, I think. Let's plan on that anyway. See how we do? Quick sip of tea. That last one took a lot out of me. Those complex poses, they're always quite the thing, you know? All right. Now on this one, her hair is obscuring some of what we can see, but we're not going to let that throw us. Let's find our center line. Scapula. That was an incredible workout. My shapes look good, but it's somehow stiff looking. Thoughts on why drawings look stiff? It is very, it's very much part of the territory when we're working on such complex poses. And it's something that you have to be, you have to be incredibly vigilant about to try and avoid that happening. Yeah, it's the same. I believe to a very large degree, it's the same kind of stiffness that you'll get in a drawing, even as something like a standing or a relatively straightforward pose like this. I think the stiffness comes from the same place, which is being too conservative when you're blocking out about the relationships of things. You know, like when I started this, like for example, like I'm really thinking in long sweeping terms, like for example, between the spine here and then this here, and very pushing, possibly even more than is on the reference, right? That idea, Tina, of pushing a pose 10% further than what it actually is in the reference or in the model in front of you. Because if you push that gestural pose, that first stage, those long lines of action or gesture, you push them just a little bit further than what you see. As you're building all of that complexity, especially like the last pose, things tend to then calm down into a more natural state. And then that way you've ended up with a drawing, hopefully, that has maintained a freshness. And it's something I just, look, we're all guilty of it, right? And it's something I just see all the time in people that are still kind of developing a skill set or learning is, you know, trying to get rid of the stiffness is it's a big challenge. Yeah, I think at the end of this month I'm going to go back to the other music service. Not too impressed with this one. Anyway, don't like that. Okay, we'll fix it and come back to it. So, trapezius coming down this way. Thank you, look out for answering that Lewis's question. Yeah, newsprint, 48 GSM, smooth newsprint. The cheapest that is here, the cheapest and arguably most unremarkable paper you can get. But at least in my opinion, absolutely fantastic for figure drawing. Little sacral dimples there and there. And some very straightforward and nice cast shadows. Well, not cast shadows, sorry, core shadows. Tons of form that will just make life a little bit easier. There's a cast shadow. Ignoring the light source coming from the her left. See the way, like, we put in the core shadows to help describe form. You could quite literally just put no tone in here, right? It just looks like the bounce light is equal in light to the lip side of the form. And it's a nice kind of dynamic in its own right. Just goes to show, you know, what you can get the eye to believe. And we've got obviously the business in here. So if we're just going to, you know, in the interest of being thorough, this arm kind of reveals itself here and then does something like that, but we've got this huge swath of hair. Sorry, just looking for some music. There was a world music one. Where is that? I don't know. Let's see what this is. Okay. All right. Some little bit of time. Where are we at? 12 minutes. All right. Take care, Jäger. Hope you have a good weekend. All right. And I think that's going to do it for this one. We will we'll do one more quickie, and call it for today. Done. Last pose. So we're going to skip pose number 5 and we're going to go to pose number 6. I will leave number 5 up for those that would like to draw it in their own time. We've got lots more of this model too in the future. In fact, there is a fantastic set of her, but they were mostly standing. The ones I wanted to draw were mostly standing, and all the seated and lying poses, she was wearing this rather complex, like lace type thing, which was not conducive to be for drawing. But there's half a dozen standing poses in a different set of this girl. They're absolutely fantastic that we have to draw at some point. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, pose number 6. And we're gonna go for, let's aim for like 6 minutes here, yeah? 5-6 minutes. Okay. Let's do it. Little bit of a tricky pose to end on, if for no other reason than, well, it's, you know, it's not a very conventional pose in some sense. That makes sense. But let's see what we can do. Sitting about here. Head of the humerus is about here. Elbow. That's lovely. Thing of hair coming down. Something like that. Oof, we're already at 4 minutes. Yikes. Okay. Yeah, this playlist said it was inspired by Dune. Like, no kidding. Oh, is that it? Here it is, 3 tracks? No? Okay. Did everyone leave with Jaeger? Alright. Wow, we're already at 7 minutes, huh? Okay. Well, we'll just go for another minute here. And we can't see the right arm at all, so it's handy. Come on, just a little bit of core shadow. A little bit of car shadow into core shadow. This all goes into shadow here. All right, and that, folks, turned into a 9-minute post. Bit of fun to finish off with, huh? Amaris, I think I might have to watch your foreshortening videos after this, Richard. Nice, cool. Well, I think there's a few in there, I think. And in pretty much every stream, we deal with foreshortening to some degree or another. Guys, it's been a good session, I think. We had some really challenging pose, and we had a couple that were, you know, certainly fun. Okay, not making any promises for next week, but as I said at the beginning of the stream, there will be some bonus streams potentially on the Mondays at the same time. I'm not going to do them every week like we were before, but I do like the idea of us getting together a little bit more than just once a week. Maybe 6 times a month, something like that. Let's see. Anyway, so I may be back on Monday, definitely next Thursday, and every Thursday through August. And yes, very, very possibly Monday. Let's see. Yeah, that was a good session. I hope you guys enjoyed it. In the meantime, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing, have a fantastic weekend. And most importantly, look after yourselves. And I will see you next week. Oh, one other thing. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like button on your way out the door, it is much appreciated. Okay, folks, take care. I will see you next week. Cheers. Bye.